This is 1,000 points of Drukhari. More specifically, it is the 1,000 points of Drukhari that I need for a game on Saturday. And as you can see, not a single model is actually completely finished. Let's try and do something about that. To explain to you properly the state of each of my models, at this point in the day, I have a Raider, which has kind of been a test scheme for highlights, so that's pretty far along in terms of the armor, but not very much else. I've got two Talos that I worked on about a year or two ago and then never really finished. So I'm not really going to be doing much with them today, but if we get time, we'll do a little bit on them. And then I have one Reaver jet bike that was also a test model, and everything else is completely unprimed. Some of it's unbuilt. Okay, so I have finished building the Ravager that wasn't fully assembled. There was a couple of Kabalite warriors that were not finished because 10th edition changed what equipment they can take, so I had to rebuild them with splinter cannons and shredders and things. And everything that wasn't primed black is now primed black. So the next stage, I think, is a bit of airbrushing work. I'm going to start building up some greens and get some colour on the armour. So yeah, we're about half an hour in. Painting can get started. So now that everything is built as needed and spray painted black, I'm just working with my airbrush, getting some incubi darkness through it to get nice base layer down, followed by some Kabalite green to get some volumetric highlights on there. So we're almost 3 hours in. We're in a decent spot right now. Ravager, 20 warriors, my Archon, 5 Scourges and 8 Reaver jet bikes. So airbrushing is all done. 9 hours 20 to go. Let's see how we get on. Before moving on to brushwork, I actually forgot that I needed to go back with the airbrush and do some Black Legion just to basically darken down the armor in places where I'd oversprayed the brighter colors. It has been about 3.5 hours. We've got 8.5 hours to go. I think I'm done with the airbrush. So we primed everything that we needed to prime black. We've done some incubi darkness to get some nice base layer on everything. A thin kind of volume highlight with the airbrush of Kabalite green. And then we've kind of made some shadows again with Black Legion just straight out the airbrush. Kind of push everything back a little bit. I'm pretty happy with the colors. I think it looks really nice. I think these guys all look really great. I'm very happy with the progress. So I'm going to go clean out my airbrush now, put that away. And then I think we're going to move on to some metals and some whites because we're going to use quite a few contrast paints from here on out. So I need to get a lot of stuff blocked in white and all the metals done. So that's going to be the next step. I'll catch you again in a couple more hours. I mean, this could be a lot of hours. This could be a big chunk of the time. But yeah, we'll see you very soon. At this stage, it really was just a case of getting some Corax white down on the miniatures in places where I wanted contrast. I decided I was going to save metallics for the next step. We have 6 hours 40 left. The white is going fairly well. I'm not being crazy careful, to be honest. I kind of feel like there are some bits where I've got white on the armor, but it will be okay. We've got some more warriors to go, and once they're done, I think we're onto the bikes. I don't think there's a huge amount of white that is needed on the bikes, which is a big relief. And then we can kind of eye up the Scourges and go from there. I am completely losing track of time. I know how much time I've got left. I don't remember when I actually last checked in with you. Everything's kind of a blur, to be completely honest. We're not halfway through the time, and we're definitely not halfway through the painting. I suspect that I'll finish up the white today, hopefully get a load of contrast slapped onto these models, which will quite quickly make them look significantly better. But after that, I think it's metallics, and that's going to just be a bit of a nightmare. So we'll check in a bit. We'll check in a bit, and I'll talk to you again very soon. I went in on all the models with Ruin Lord brass, but I decided to leave silver for a later date in the end. It has been maybe half an hour since I last updated you. The Cabal Warriors now have all of the white on them done. I need to now go and pick up my wonderful girlfriend from work, so I'll be back in a little bit. The timer is on pause, regrettably. Oh god, we're gonna finish late. The timer's on pause. I've got to run out, grab her, come back, and we will carry on. I might do some contrasts when I get back just to save myself a little bit of sanity and give myself a break from the white. I might just push on with the white. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Be right back. It is now 7 p.m. We've got 5 hours 40 left, which means that we're going to finish at about 1 a.m. That's okay, because I had a yummy dinner, cuddled my cats, watched some TV with wife, so everything's pretty good. I have actually been working a little bit off camera, so I've started painting some brass on some models. We've got the Scourges and the Ravager, we've got some brass on there. It's brass time for the Warriors next, and then once that is done, I think it's contrast time, but I think there's going to be a lot of brass happening before we get to contrast. I'm going to try and leave silvers for last, because I'm actually considering getting some different brands of paint for that. And I do not expect to finish all of these models by the end of tonight. So if silver is the last thing that I'm left with, and I get a different brand of paint that makes it a bit easier, I think that's a good result. So yeah, I'll set the camera back up and we will get straight back into it. Here I decided to get some contrasts on the go, just to add some pops of colour and some visual interest. It is about 11:30 p.m. In terms of what we've got done, it's looking pretty good. Got our jet bikes. There's not a huge amount really done on them, but they look decent enough for what I've kind of been able to achieve. The Warriors, there's a little bit more that we've managed to get done. There's a lot more colours on there. Obviously no highlighting. I've not got any silver on anything. I think silver is going to really make things pop, but I'm kind of, at this stage, I'm kind of hoping I can just get away with doing other things that need to be done first so that I can get some nicer paints to work with. I don't know. It's looking okay. There's some detailing on him. There's not a huge amount on there really yet, but we'll crack on with him probably before the end of the night. Our Scourges. I mean, these guys were great when we started 10.5 hours ago. They had nothing on them, so they're doing okay. Talos, I've not done anything with. The Raider, I've only added a couple of colours onto. The Ravager, I think the Ravager's looking quite nice. I think I've definitely done enough that, it's a coherent army. I can take it to my local game store on Saturday, and I think I'll be happy with it. Fortunately, I got another hour and a half now to do some touch-ups, and I've got the rest of the week to do more work if I want them to look really nice. But yeah, for 10.5 hours work, pretty happy. I've never had such an undertaking before in the hobby, so it's been very different. I don't feel as awful as I thought I would. I thought I would be hating my life right now. I'm doing surprisingly okay, but I would like it to stop soon, so I'm glad it's only an hour and a half. I'll catch you when we've finished. At this stage of the night, I was basically just really tired, as you could expect. And so I decided I would treat myself to working on my Archon. I just kind of got on with some armor highlights and a whole bunch of different colors that we slapped on there before the end. It is just approaching 1 a.m. I've literally, just as I've been tidying up to show you what I've been able to do today, I feel like I've just been hit by like a wave of tired. So I am gonna finish tidying up and get myself to bed straight after this. Yeah, I guess I'll show you what we've managed to do today. So here are my 2 Talus engines. They are completely unchanged from the start of the day. I have done no work to them. Nothing is different whatsoever. Moving on to our Raider. The Runelord brass is new. That's more or less untouched as well, to be honest. But where we start to see the work that I've done, a Ravager, that wasn't even built yesterday. I built that last night, got that primed, airbrushed, got some metals on there, a couple of colours on the crew, but not many. But our Scourges, who I think are looking okay. There's still a lot to do, obviously. They are not finished. And this is the thing, I didn't think anything would be finished because there's a lot. Our Reaver jet bikes, they're really starting to come along. This Turbo Dork paint that I'm using on their faces is a real nightmare to use with a brush. I've only used it with an airbrush before, and it is not fun, but steadily getting there. There are 20 warriors. Again, really good progress. These guys were not primed this morning, and I don't know how well it comes out on camera, but I'm really happy with the color on them, on the base armor. And yeah, we've managed to get a bunch applied. At this last half hour, I just kind of went ham on the Archon for a bit of fun. So he is the closest to being finished. Still nowhere near being finished, but there's my Archon leading the warriors. And that's the whole list that I'm going to be taking to my local game store. I'm going to maybe get some nice close-up videos of these to show you what I've been able to do. And other than that, I'm going to sign off on today. I'm going to go to bed. This is how far along we managed to get in 12 hours. It doesn't look like a huge amount, but considering that I managed to do this across 1,000 points, I'm pretty happy with the result, I'm not going to lie. The Raider I'm showing off just because the highlights were already done, and this kind of gives you a better idea of what the scheme will look like once more work has gone in and once we've kind of finished everything off. But the only things, like I say, that we added to this model were the brass elements. The Ravager I'm pretty happy with. There's not a huge amount of detail on there yet, but again, considering that this model was not primed at the start of the day and it wasn't even built the day before, I feel like I've managed to do pretty good job by my own standards. I'm really happy with how much work we've actually managed to get done here. I actually forgot to film the scourges, so here they are a few days later after I'd done some more detailing in my own time. You can see that we've started adding silvers. This gives you a much better idea of what the army will kind of look like with a bit more work. And already I think the silvers really start to make the models pop way harder than without. Here are my Cabal warriors with my Archon. The Archon I obviously put extra time into at the end, just because I was desperate to have a little bit of excitement. But in conclusion, I am so happy with the amount of work I managed to achieve in one day. I never thought I would get that far. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's encouraged you to go and do some painting. Have a great week and we'll see you next time.